Boys and girls, welcome to 6th grade life science, and today's standard we are going to cover the life science standard 6.1.4, which states compare and contrast different cells in order to classify them as protist, fungus, plant, or animal. Today's lesson is going to focus primarily on classification and recognizing differences between different types of eukaryotic cells. Before we get started, though, let's just do a quick review. Cells are either prokaryotes or eukaryotes. Living organisms can be categorized into either prokaryotes or eukaryotes based on specific characteristics. Prokaryotes consist of bacteria and archaea. Eukaryotes consist of protists, fungi, plants, and animals. The biggest difference between these is that prokaryotes are mainly single-celled organisms, teeny tiny, microscopic, difficult to see. Eukaryotes can also be made up of teeny tiny organisms, but there also are main plants and animals and much larger living organisms that we are able to see without using a microscope. To begin, we're going to classify prokaryotes. Prokaryotes lack an organized nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. So we have a couple of examples. There are 4 characteristics of prokaryotes. So this is what you're looking for if you're trying to decide if it's a prokaryote or a eukaryote. The first thing is their shape. They have a slightly different structure shape, the chemical nature of their cells, so some of the organelles that they are made up of and how they function, how they move, and then where they obtain their energy. Eukaryotes are more complex. They contain a nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles that perform specific functions that contribute to the overall metabolism and growth of the cell. Eukaryotic cells are found in multicellular organisms, including plants, animals, fungi, and protists. So that's what we're going to focus on, is identifying these differences. Okay, the domain Eukarya has 4 kingdoms, and this is how we classify these organisms into Animalia, which is our animals, are plantae, which is plants and trees, fungi, fungus like yeast and some bacterias, mainly decomposers, and then our protist, which kind of takes all of the other things left over that don't fit into one of those categories, and that's where they get placed. Teeny tiny microscopic organisms are our protists. They are classified based on the complexity of their cellular organization, their ability to obtain nutrients, and their mode of reproduction. So here is a nice graphic that breaks them down into the different areas, and you can see some examples of fungi on the left. They are heterotrophs. They have a cell wall. They can be unicellular and multicellular. So some of these organisms that are in the fungi category we can see with our human eyes, and others we need to use a microscope. Then we have our kingdom for our plants, which are all autotrophs. They're self-feeders, and they have a cell wall that is made up of cellulose. They can also be unicellular and multicellular. We are able to see lots of these with our eyes. There are some that we do have to use a microscope for. Then we have the kingdom Animalia, which is our animals. Heterotrophs, they have to eat to obtain their energy. That is the difference between the autotroph and the heterotrophs. I don't think I clarified that yet. An autotroph can create their own energy. Heterotrophs have to obtain their energy by consuming something. So the Animalia kingdom, they are multicellular, and you can see it consists of all of the invertebrates and vertebrate species. And then we have our Protist for our last kingdom. These are heterotrophs. They are small, like animals and plants or fungi, but they don't fit into one of those categories. They can also be unicellular or multicellular. So this last slide, I just have a few definitions to maybe wrap it up to distinguish between the 4. So for fungi, it's a fungus is any member of the group of eukaryotic organisms that includes microorganisms such as yeast and molds, as well as the more familiar mushrooms. The plantae, or plants, are mainly multicellular organisms, predominantly photosynthetic eukaryotes of the kingdom Plantae. Animalia is our animals. They are multicellular eukaryotic organisms that form from the that form, sorry, the biological kingdom, Animalia. And then we have a protist. A protist is any eukaryotic organism that is not an animal, plant, or a fungus. So like I said, it kind of gets all of the leftovers into that category. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.